mean, I think they're kind of dumb sometimes. And do I think that they're right?
I just think
Probably
it's
not.
unspecific.
But
Women are oppressed.
I don't think that there should be anything done about it. Okay,
I'm for equality too.
have your women's march, whatever. That doesn't mean I have to agree with you. You have the right to do your thing as long as you're peaceful. Do your thing. I don't care. That doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with everything you said. And it doesn't mean that I agree with everything the president says or, anything that anyone says. Even you and I, as close friends who have known each other for years, we still disagree sometimes, and that's okay. That's that's good. But what I'm saying is, it's interesting how, to go back to that quote, they realize that as a society, these maybe aren't the best values to have. But then they don't apply it to society. They hang all of society's misdeeds in that arena on one person who has characteristically not had the most spotless record. And, what does that even mean? A spotless record, right? He hasn't been that great with women. Okay, so he's been married and divorced. Who cares? Lots of people have been married and divorced.
Yeah, it's funny how, to me, the whole idea of a presidency is a funny thing. If you were an alien and you came down to Earth and you looked at humans and, look, even a company, there's a CEO, but you also have a boardroom of people making decisions. And so when it comes to someone like the president, and we even say the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the world. Well, should there be one person that... Because, look, our founding fathers, when they came here, they wanted to make sure that we didn't have something that looked like the monarchy that they had in England. That was the whole point of
you think
making
the president's a monarch?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But the idea that we have to have one person that even... Basically, the president is someone that we say represents us. But why does it even have to be one person that represents us? Why can't it be a panoply of people, lots of people that are very qualified, very smart people?
That's what Congress is for. That's why they break it up into different districts, and it's broken up into two separate houses. Break it up into the
Senate and the House of Representatives, and each state has 2 senators. Right. And that's why we have a whole series of checks and balances. But I'm just saying that there still has to be one guy at the very top of it, like it's some sort of pyramid scheme or something like that. It just seems kind of, I don't know. It just seems like it's strange that we have to have that. I'm not saying we should get rid of it right now, because people are always too eager to say, oh, I think there shouldn't be. Just me, Lane, saying, I think it's sort of a weird idea to have a president. So do I think the solution to that is right now we should get rid of the president and have something else? No, because if you're changing the way our political system works willy-nilly, the chances that you're going to make it worse instead of better are extremely high, which is why when I see all these people on political marches saying that America is corrupt and we need to have a revolution from the top down, I go, okay, well, hold on a second, because I think it's working pretty good right now. And of course the response to that would be well, you're a straight white man, so of course it's working good for you right now, but there's a lot of people that it doesn't benefit right now. And
being cisgendered is definitely a crime. You should consider yourself, and if you need to, maybe realign your values with those of modern society. You
got to be what do they call it?
I don't know, because I don't care. It's probably in that book that I gave you for Christmas. It's probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, he gave me this book that, what was the guy's name? Andrew Klavan. He's sort of a right-wing spokesperson. I don't know, has a podcast or something. I don't really know. But he has this funny book
called The Lefties Dictionary.
The Lefties Dictionary.
You too can learn to speak Lefties.
A is for Antifa.
And
they call people Nazis, and yet they act like Nazis.
I like some of his other work. He also has a book called Another Kingdom. This guy,
which is actually sitting right in front of us.
It is. I'm creating in our house that we live in a freedom table comprised of, good entertainment and thoughtful text to think on.
Yes. So that's a fiction book by Andrew Klavan?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he actually originally, so he made it a audio story. It was originally an audio story that was voiced by Michael Knowles, who also works with him at the Daily Wire. And, in the second season, they actually have quite a bit of art graphics to go along with it. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fantastical.
Was it an audio story, like complete with sound effects and that kind of thing?
I don't believe that there's sound effects, but I guess there are some.
Like an old style radio show where they would have...
Not quite with the hooves and the oatmeal and the coconuts and all that.
Yeah. But pretty cool nonetheless.
I don't think they went that far out.
Oh, okay.
But there were nymphs and swords and damsels in distress. And there's this one villain. His name was Kitten Face. It's kind of like a confused individual. Not sure if
Kitten Face.
Yeah, Kitten Face.
Huh.
Yet you never heard a single meow the whole time.
Is it just an ironic, cute name for the most evil person you could possibly imagine?
This person is pretty deranged. Yeah. They want to kill the main character, Right Meow.
Right Meow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right.
Not Layper.
Right now. Oh, Layper.
That was stupid.
Yeah. But hey.
Huh. So you kind of already know the story before you're going into actually reading the book. So he wrote it as an audio story before he wrote it as a book.
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
He used his coworker to get some cheap labor. Actually, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I'm just casting aspersions on the man. But I figure everybody else cracks Michael Knowles jokes. So why couldn't I?
Yeah, I think you sent a video to me of him that I watched at some point, but that's about the only exposure I've had of him.
Oh, Michael Knowles? Yeah.
Other than See, I always confuse Andrew Klavan and Michael Knowles. But Andrew Klavan's the older guy.
The older, sagely guy. Michael Knowles is the more pretty boy type.
Yeah, I see. It's a New York Times best-selling author, Andrew Klavan.
Yeah,
interesting.
He's written a number of other books in his time as well.
The author's expression turned inward again. He stared into low space. She wouldn't laugh. Interesting.
Yeah, he walks through the door and all of a sudden he's transported to a realm called Galliana, another kingdom.
Fascinating. So this is a interesting first experience trying to podcast ourselves out in the airwaves. I don't even know where we're going to publish this, but it's interesting because, like I said, I've had multiple people tell me that I should have a podcast, but I didn't really know how to do it or if I should do it, why to do it. And yet here we are in our living room.
Here we are.
Casting the pod.
On a kind of not dreary, but kind of cold, a little chilly Wednesday night.
It's getting darker outside and leaves are blowing in the yard.
It was a dark and stormy night. Oh, wait, that's the wrong
Strange
intro.
Things were brewing.
Brewing.
Is Brewer a German last name?
It is if you change the W to a U.
So it's a new spelling to an older name.
I think so. Yeah.
Last names are interesting that way.
Yeah. Frenchy.
It's just a name that we keep. Isn't that strange?
Originally...
My dad had the name.
I called you a Frencher.
Now I got to have the name.
I don't think Frencher's a thing.
His grandfather had the name, and his grandfather had the name.
Yeah, do you want to just change your name? You could, start a new thing.
Right. Kind of how Joaquin Phoenix, they changed their name to Phoenix because they were in a cult and they wanted to have a different name after that terrifying, terrible experience. And so they said, our last name is Phoenix because we arise from the flames. Something like that.
Joaquin Phoenix. Isn't that the guy who's
But last names are a strange thing to have. And it's funny how Asian people, or maybe just Japanese people, they put the last name first. And so I think
that's actually a fairly common thing in most Asian cultures.
Yeah, because
I think it has to do with
it goes along with the idea that
language.
Really?
I think so.
See, I kind of associated with the fact that Asian cultures tend to be more group-minded rather than individualistic like the West. And so your family name is more important than your own individual first name. And so that's why I thought they did that. Whether that's accurate or not, or just an artifact of the fact that it's the way their language is written. I don't know.
We should sit down, have some rice, and ask an Asian. Rice probably isn't keto, is it?
No, it's not. I'm on this crazy keto diet for a while.
Which I commend Lane because he's not one of those crazy gluten-free or keto people that tells you about it every 2 seconds. We've lived together now for coming up on, Lane, it's about to be our 1-year anniversary. Can you believe that?
Of living together, yes.
Oh, man.
It's been
so excited.
It's been a good 12 months or so.
But in those 12 months, Lane has probably pushed his keto, maybe 2 or 3 times. And so, just do your thing.
I don't know that I ever pushed it. But,
you promoted it.
Well, Justin was having migraines, and I said, hey, did you know that there's some things that you eat that cause inflammation that could definitely make migraines worse, if not cause them?
He's probably just suffering from withdrawal.
So I just said, hey, maybe don't consume sugar, that kind of thing, which is, a part of the keto diet.
Justin is maybe just missing some key items from his diet. Maybe we should have gotten him some grape soda, fried chicken, watermelon. I mean, he loves watermelon for sure. I don't know about the first 2.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he's our black roommate, and he does love watermelon, though.
He does love watermelon. And I'm just being a jerk on the other items. If anything, I'd probably eat fried chicken first.
Speaking of chicken, I got chicken in the oven right now. I'm going to check the timer. I didn't set a timer. I just have to. Anyway.
Didn't you say like
this is our very eclectic and random podcast, and as you can tell, we talk about whatever comes to our heads, and we don't have any purpose of necessarily entertaining you, so take it as you will.
But watch. Lane's going to get going here real quick. Thoughts on Elon Musk and the recent SEC hearings?
Okay, look. I'm not an economic expert, far from. In fact, I know very little about the state of our economy, which is why I don't know why if Donald Trump has actually improved the economy or it was just, an uphill battle that Barack Obama started and now we're benefiting from now. That's what the Democrats are always saying right now. I know very little about the economy, but it seems to me that when you have someone like Elon Musk who's doing impossible things
here comes
all
the
time.
Fanboying.
Look, this guy's clearly a genius. It's almost impossible to make a viable electric car. He did it. He made rockets that can take off and land. He's going to send the first person that's ever been on. Look, he shot his car into space. He made an electric car, shot it into space. And if he wanted to, he could probably make the car touch back down softly on landing rockets on the ground. And he's working on this thing called Neuralink, which no one has any idea what it is, but apparently this one guy tried it and leaked some information about it. And it's apparently amazing. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to do. The words he used were something like increase the bandwidth between humans and technology, thus increasing our our ability to use technology.
Would this be like Johnny Depp in Transcendence, or I think that application was more as Mr. Depp was passing away in the movie, huh?
Well, that's the idea of uploading your consciousness, which these Ray Kurzweil people are crazy about in these 2049 conferences that they have, and circle jerk about what the future is going to be like in just 20 years, when I would argue that most of the things they say are going to happen. Years. Look, when it comes to predicting the future, and I know I kind of changed subjects from Elon Musk, but I'll get back to it. But when it comes to predicting the future, people always predict the wrong things. They think some things are going to happen way sooner, and then the things that you never thought were going to happen are the things that end up happening really soon. Like the internet. No one really predicted the internet.
Right.
If they did, it was a very small group of people, and I doubt there were hardly any.
Well, we're supposed to have hover cars right now.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. According to every movie that has predicted the future, we're all supposed to have jetpacks. Do we have them? No. The first, what's that futuristic movie with Harrison Ford that they just made? The
Wave Runner?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, not Wave Runner.
Blade Runner was this year. The original Blade Runner, the future was set in 2019.
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. And in that movie, there were, replicants, which were humanoid robots that looked exactly human. So, especially in movies, but in general, in these enthusiasts, you might call them, about future technology, and whoever that guy, I guess Ray Kurzweil is the main dude who always makes predictions about the future. That guy's been right a lot, but usually the predictions are incorrect and they're way sooner than the things actually happen. But then there's other things like, the fact that we have the internet and all of mankind's knowledge aggregated in the palm of our hand, and you could literally find out how to do anything online on your smartphone.
Everybody's a fan of saying that, but there's an amazing amount of technology that's still offline these days. And I think that's probably one of the things that fascinates me most, right, is what are these hidden gems of knowledge that are just out there that, you can't necessarily access, or you can't really appreciate the context of it from the internet. Just talking to people sometimes and just kind of hearing their experiences. So like at my work, right, we have manuals for pretty much everything we do. I work in compliance and finance, which sounds extremely fascinating. And let me tell you, it's just every bit as tantalizing as it sounds. But my point in that is that there's these step-by-step guides, supposedly, that give you the knowledge that you need to do whatever work process it is. But what's funny, and this is actually something I'm working on enhancing, is that there's a lot of in-between stuff, like in between the lines, right? You don't quite grasp, hey, I have to do this, this, and this. But there's a lot of just experience that you can't quite put into words, or you can't quite translate into like a PDF or a Word document that, will never be digitalized. And I think that's fascinating, right? When we talk about life and the experiences that you have, a lot of it you can't gain from just reading things online.
Yeah, there's certain bodies of knowledge out there. Look, when we were before the age of the internet, before the industrial age, before the Industrial Revolution, before we had, half of anything we had now, before people wrote things down on paper, the only way you could get knowledge was from the elders of your community. And they would tell you how to do this, how to hunt, how to find the right plants, what plants are poisonous, what plants are safe to eat, what plants will be a remedy for this disease or what have you. You had to listen to every word that the elders of your tribe told you. And that was the only way you learned how to do anything. And I just think that now a lot of that kind of thing, like if you wanted to learn how to say you're worried of a coming apocalypse, and I don't know why this example came into my head, but this is what I think of whenever I think of, going outside and looking at a mushroom. Do I know whether that mushroom would make me swell up and stop breathing, or just be, a healthy snack to eat? I don't know the difference.
You probably do because you're super into shrooms.
Well, there's this mycologist named Paul Stamets that I'm a fan of, who mycology is the study of mushrooms. And yeah, I kind of am into, there's this company who sells, I think they're called Four Sigmatic, and they sell mushroom elixirs and things like that using, I like the idea of plant medicine because it kind of gets back to the thing that there's not really much of a separation between food and medicine whatsoever. They're kind of both the same thing.
Well, they say food is fuel, so why can't food be medicine?
Right. But I kind of got off track here, what we were talking about. Oh, yeah. The fact that I can probably learn that kind of thing online, and just out of laziness, I haven't.
That's true. That is true. That's the other side of things.
There's so much information that you can only soak up so much at once.
You know why?
But if you really wanted to, you could, though.
Because people are playing Smash Brothers.
People are playing Smash Brothers. I hate that game so much.
It's a pretty good game, Lane.
It's a misuse of 3D, and I will stand by that statement until the end of time.
You're just mad. You're just mad because I beat you with Pikachu.
Nah, man. Who's the little pink guy? I like the little pink guy.
That's Kirby.
Kirby's fun to play with. Because I don't know what I'm doing, but he can turn into an anvil and fall on people like his Looney Tunes. It's pretty entertaining.
Does anyone really know what they're doing?
Does anyone really know what they're doing? We ask the big questions on this podcast.
I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? But what even...
Hey, that means we're free to pursue whatever we want to pursue. So you were saying that there's certain bodies of knowledge that you still can't necessarily get online.
Well, yeah, I believe that, those things are interpreted through experience and other things like that. That necessarily, the people that have that kind of knowledge just aren't in a position to put it in online. Or just maybe there's not an audience for it. But I mean, to say there's not an audience for something on the internet is kind of hard to think about because there's a lot of weird stuff on the internet.
There is a lot there. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. When I went to UNO, when you talk about bodies of knowledge, you think you're gonna. When you think about what are the secrets of the universe, what are the things that someone out there knows, maybe someone like really high up in the government or someone with just a ton of money that can afford to go to some country clubs where they exchange secret information, or all this Bohemian Grove crap where they go and make these secret business deals. What kinds of things do those...
No clue what you're talking about, but go on.
I don't know at all.
No, I'm serious.
I'm just going on a hippie rant here.
Oh, Project Veritas, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
The elites, they're out to get us.
The elites.
They're basically Agent Anderson.
But when you just think about...
Or Agent Smith.
What are the kinds of things out there that people know that would be amazing to know that I just don't? I haven't made it to that level. No one's put their hand on my shoulder and said, hey, man, I got some things to tell you. You make $30 billion a year. You can come to my club and we're going to chat it out, and you're going to know the secrets of the universe.
Is that maybe why Kanye West can just
drain blood from young people?
Call up the president and go to the White House?
I mean, celebrity can do a lot. But see, so when I used to think about this idea of higher knowledge, when I graduated from high school and I got my scholarship and so I could go to any Nebraska school I wanted to, basically on a free ride, and I got my gen eds done at a cheaper college, so I had to use less of the money. and then I went to UNO. In my mind, I was eventually going to get to some sort of knowledge, no matter what the degree. I just thought that at college, it was the place where I would learn things that I wouldn't have ever heard anywhere else. And yet it was very disappointing, even up to the very end of being in college, because, I mean, partially it was just the degree that I was in, or degrees, because I changed it multiple times. But it just seemed like it was, more than anything, an extension of high school. You're just learning more boring things. I thought I was going to get to some secret knowledge, and I don't know why I thought that.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. I felt the same way.
When you look at an institute of higher learning when you're in high school, and you think, I'm going to get a college degree, I'm going to be really learned, I'm going to know things.
Little kids can't wait to be adults.
I haven't learned anything in college whatsoever, because half the professors there, they don't want to be there, for one, and half the students there are only going there because their parents are paying their way, and so they don't really care about it, and it just becomes this big old jumbled mess of mediocrity.
Do you think that's a little cynical?
I mean, yeah, probably, and also, yeah, if you want to go be a doctor, you're learning things that the average person doesn't know. So yeah, there's still some degrees out there that are worth pursuing. And at the same time, there's other degrees that it's like, so I'm getting this degree to get a job that I thought I wanted this job because it seemed like the kind of job that, it pays more money, and I needed a degree to get the job. Therefore, it just seems like it's a better job, when really it might just be something that you don't want to do, or maybe it's super boring. I have friends that went to college that got their degrees and they don't even like what they're doing now. They do make a decent bit of money, but they don't really like what they're doing necessarily.
I don't think that's as we talk about college and the thoughts on college, what you just described I don't think is necessarily exclusive to people that went to college or not. There's plenty of people that hate what they do whether they're in college or not. But as far as expectations go, I would agree with you. I think that maybe I had a wrong view on what to expect in college. And, I've had to kind of shift that around a little bit, right? And so do I wish that maybe I would have paid a little more attention in high school and applied myself for a scholarship like you did, my learned fellow? Maybe, but it also allowed me a little more, I think, flexibility, in the sense that I wasn't maybe on such a rigid schedule like you were. But that's different. So my experience was I had similar expectations. And so I think a lot of times, our expectations can kind of shape our view of the outcome, or the expected outcome, because we have X expectations and we're expecting, hey, I don't know what the process is exactly going to look like, but I think it'll look something like this, and this will be the outcome. Well, you get halfway through it and you're like, well, this isn't what I expected at all. And I really don't think the outcome's going to come with what I wanted. And it's frustrating, because you feel like, hey, I've been spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, and is this even doing what I want it to do?
Right.
And sometimes the answer is no. And, sometimes that's okay, really, because
you don't know till you try.
Well, and it gives you an opportunity to explore things, like what I was mentioning, experience, right? So the experience that you had gained from that, while you feel like there may not have been a ton of academic knowledge of value, I think you would say that you gained a certain amount of worldview perspective experience and things that, you wouldn't have had before. It was a bit of an exposure to, I guess, just people outside of how people outside of a small town think and act, and kind of a smaller scale version of a big town and a big city with these professors and all this other highfalutin stuff where they think they're just so special. And I think maybe you saw through a lot of the facade and it was just not satisfying to a person as authentic as yourself.
You know how you feel when you're, well, maybe not, because we don't really have, but a place like a bus stop, or like what's another example? Just an in-between place that no one really wants to be. Mm-hmm. People are there for a short amount of, the DMV. The line at a grocery store. This is a lot of the time how I felt when I was at UNO. There wasn't really a central place on the campus where people would gather and people would enjoy being. There was just all these odd little places where people were just going through, because UNO's a commuter college, and a lot of the people, I mean, there's some people that live in the dorms there, of course, but most of the people there didn't live on campus. So it felt very decentralized, and like everyone was just kind of going there and then would leave immediately, or only stay there if they had to.
Right.
And so this
hip hip hurrah college experience was not something that I really ran into.
Yeah, there was not really any. And granted, maybe I was just antisocial while I was at college because I lived so far away from it, and so I didn't spend much time there. And I'm sure they had, college activities. There's definitely sororities. I was never really the sororities, and what's the male version of that? That's just not coming into my mind for some reason. Fraternities. And so they had all those things, but I don't think there were as many people in them as, say, UNL.
Maybe
because I've had some friends that go to UNL, and it seems more of a
party school
college to be. And maybe I sound like I'm complaining about going to UNO. Really, it was just kind of where I was at the time. I wasn't really enjoying the degree that I had chosen. I realized I had switched degrees so many times. I figured I had to finally end up on a certain degree, and I wasn't really happy about it. And so I was just trying to finish the classes.
I started with computer science. Moved over to management information systems. And then I moved to, what did I move to? General business, and then business focusing in finance, and then now I've changed again. I'm economics and information assurance. I mean, it relates a little bit to what I do for a big boy job, but, computer science to economics are very different things.
Right. I mean, they both require some attention and focus, but they're two very different things. Two different fields for sure.
Plus calculus was in computer science, and we don't get along.
I took a calculus class once, and I'm still kind of I hold a grudge in my mind against this teacher because, I had done great in every college.
Here it comes.
There's a part of me that sort of enjoys doing math.
For those of you that don't know, Lane used to be super OCD, like straight A perfectionist. And so now he's letting out all his repressed anger because this college professor just rocked his world.
So when I was an all-A student in high school. And I went to college, and I tried to do the same thing. And, part of it, to be honest, when I was trying to strive for good grades in high school, it was more of I don't know, I just felt like something I thought I had to do.
You have to be the best.
Right.
Strive
for excellence. That was one of our school mottos.
Why?
We had, rather than me complaining about my calculus experience in college, because the teacher was just horrible, is basically what I'm saying.
Since we're talking about good or bad experiences, we could totally
just on the calculus thing. Look, I'd done great in every math class, every algebra class up until then. I'd gotten all A's in them, and then all of a sudden I take this calculus class, and I was interested in the kind of things you find out in that class, because you get into measuring, equations for things like velocity, acceleration.
Acceleration
is rate of change in velocity, and all this interesting stuff where mathematics starts to slowly get into physics because you're complexifying it. And you start to begin to be able to describe things in the real world in physics, like gravity, with mathematics. And yet the teacher, they wouldn't, everything you learn in math, one thing is a piece of the next thing you learn. And then all the pieces
like a puzzle.
Right. All the pieces fit together
into puzzles.
Something. And then that something is one piece among other pieces that add up to another thing. And this teacher, he just didn't connect one thing with the next. And I was never sure how one sort of equation led to the other. And
maybe he was just kind of a disjointed person.
Right. I'm the kind of person, I need a big picture to understand things. And I felt like if I had a teacher that would have sort of given that big picture about calculus, I would have actually understood it. And I still passed the class, but I think I got like a C maybe. C minus, maybe even a D. What's the lowest you can pass with? I don't remember, but
I think a D plus.
It was probably that. I remember I barely passed.
Welcome to being human, sir.
I know.
We're so
it's
glad
so
you
terrible.
We're so glad you joined us.
But we were going to talk about our high school experience.
Well, actually, I just had a thought pop into my mind. I was going to ask you about something the other day, but I forgot when you got home. So, speaking of, this is loosely connected. So, welcome to being human made me think of mortals, which made me think of gods and mortals and kings and whatnot. So Justin, our lovely roommate the other day, said something about we're all peasants in the United States because there's no monarchy or whatnot. And I had to harshly and quickly and swiftly disagree with him.
What are you, a socialist?
We're all peasants. What? And
this is America.
Maybe we should have him in one of these times to give greater context, because he claims that I take him out of context regularly.
I feel kind of bad because we're talking about something we disagree with him while he's not here. Disagree with him about.
But we love him. He just says funny things sometimes.
Yeah.
So I meant to, so you also would disagree that we're all peasants in the United States.
No, because if you want to make money, you can easily do it because you're free to do so.
Right. I said I'm not a peasant.
Opportunities abound.
I am not a peasant. Kid me. He didn't get it. It's all right. Less than 3, Justin.
He's very, something positive I'll say about him is he's very, when he thinks something, he sticks by it. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. Like, say if you're a scientist, for instance, that would be more of a bad thing because you're supposed to be open to new ideas and be able to change your opinion.
But he's more like a philosopher.
He's more, he has a philosophical, strong stance on something that he's thought a lot about, to give him credit. At least he says. And so he'll give a very strong answer, a moralistic answer about something when I ask him.
Moralism has its place.
Sure. And so I just think there's positives and negatives to that, and that's just kind of how he is. And I just think it can sometimes also be a good thing, is what I was saying.
Oh wait. Lane's giving a compliment.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming, did you?
Well, folks, we're a little over 50 minutes in, and so we're probably going to wrap it up here at some point.
It's been good. It's been fun, and I know I stumble over my words a lot. I can barely even speak sometimes, but I'm doing my best here, and
I just want to give you a big fat hug.
Yeah, let's hug it out.
You're not allergic to hugs.
We'll stop this recording and hug it out. Sounds like a good idea.
All right, y'all. Well, until next time.
We did our best.
And we'll leave you with all the rest.
Sounds good.